Failure requires adequate preparation. This video is for people who might be thinking about ending their relationship or at the beginning of the relationship and they don't want to get hurt. Either one of those groups of people will often seek out a relationship counselor just before they're about to get divorced, when they're actively talking about separation or actively talking about divorce. And often when they're talking about that, they will sometimes think about, oh, I don't want to do this. This isn't what I want. And it seems like everything is what they're focusing on is the end of the relationship. They're focusing on all the problems. They're focusing on all the stuff that hasn't worked. And when I say failure requires adequate preparation, what that means is what it is you're thinking about, what you're focusing on, tends to what gets reinforced inside your mind. It also tends to what you end up creating. So if you end up thinking about all the stuff that went wrong, if you end up thinking about the challenges in your relationship that haven't been addressed, or the stuff that's been swept under the carpet over a long period of time, if you focus on those things, well, that's what you tend to get more of. But if you focus on where you want to go, focus on things you want to have happen, focus on how you need to change in order to bring that into reality, and how your partner needs to change in order to bring that into reality, when you both focus on those things, well, you tend to get a lot more of that. Part of the problem, though, is you might have one person who's focusing on the good things and not the bad things, or you might have both people are focusing on the bad things, in which case it's a pretty crap time. So by paying attention to what you want, by paying attention to the kind of relationship that you want, you begin to focus on what you do want, and then you tend to get a lot more of it, or at least you can start working your way towards a solution. Now, this is particularly true when a relationship goes into crisis, as people get intensely focused on the past. And that is a way of continue reliving misery. I say to my clients all the time, if you live in the past, you live in misery, because misery lives in the past. So the extent to which you can focus on how you can show up in the here and now, how you can be as desirable to your partner in the here and now, how you can see your partner's positive attributes rather than negative attributes, and how you can think about a future where both of your needs can be met and where you can have a relationship that's worth wanting. If you do those things, and if both people do those things, well, then change tends to happen very quickly. Now, the unfortunate thing about this, it requires your partner's active participation. It requires both people giving it their best, trying their best, and focusing on a future, and then doing the work. It takes both people doing the work. Now, one person might be reluctant to do that because they're the low desire partner for change. They might have been the high desire partner for change previously, and then they flip from high desire down to low desire, in which case the person who wants the change will be looking at the partner going, hang on, I really want you to change, but I don't want to change myself. And that's a big problem. It requires both people to change in order for a relationship to work. It requires both people's active participation in the relationship repair process. And it requires both people's focus to create a relationship that's really worth wanting. So how do you take this information? Well, it's important, if you're in a relationship crisis, to focus on the solution. It's also important to get both people to go, hey, what do you want? How do you want to organize your relationship? How do we want to make sure everybody's needs are met? And then you let go of the problems, create agreements about what works for the two of you, and begin working towards a relationship that you do want. It's those creating of agreements. It's carrying out those agreements, then it's backed by people's integrity. Now, often people might not have solid agreements, or might not be able to carry out those agreements for some reasons in the future, but it's important to be able to make them and maintain them in order for you to have a relationship that gives you. It's important to be able to have them and make them in order for you to have a relationship that meets your needs and also meets your partner's needs as well. So I hope this has helped. If you are having a challenge with the relationship, There's a booking link in the description. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and look forward to making more quality content for you shortly. Thanks very much. Bye.